Could Batman and Leon Kennedy survive a xenomorph outbreak? This is apparently the 100K Nerd Science special, so clap it up for Nerd Science. Hitting 100K. Hey, good job, good job, good job. That was my turn. Come on, boys. Hit that sub button, hit that like button if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. Could Batman and Leon Kennedy survive a xenomorph outbreak? Immediately, I say no, but for the sake of, you know, Nerd Science and his like little twists and spins that he does for these videos, like, we'll just say, I guess, maybe, possibly. Batman and Leon together is kind of a dangerous duo. I'm not gonna lie, they're dangerous. Like, they could do a lot together, right? But xenomorph outbreak, xenomorphs are an extinction level event, a reset button. This is just gonna be tough for them, I feel like. Let's see what Nerd Science cooked up for today.
You ever wondered what happens when Gotham's greatest tactician runs into a bioweapon that doesn't care about tactics? Tonight, we're gonna find out. Wayne Enterprises just bought a pharmaceutical company with shady books. Batman,
he brought Umbrella.
What he found wasn't criminals. It was something Umbrella Corporation been cooking for years. A hybrid, part xenomorph, part T-virus, and people are already...
That's already dumb. You're gonna put Batman and Leon Kennedy up against xenomorphs who have like the T-virus and stuff, like okay. The xenomorphs are already overly busted, low-key. Not really, but they're already scary to deal with, and now we got the T-virus added on to that. Like, come on now, like, this is over.
Dying. The question isn't whether Batman's ready. The question is whether anything he built in that cave is enough to stop what's already loose in the city. The Gotham outbreak begins. The tip came in at 11:47 p.m. A Wayne Enterprises acquisition had flagged during a routine audit. A pharmaceutical holding company called Gentech BioVault, operating out of the Gotham Harbor Industrial District. The paperwork was clean on the surface, but Alfred cross-referenced the shell company structure and found it. Umbrella Corporation. 3 layers deep, buried under 2 offshore accounts and a defunct Croatian research firm. Batman was in the Batmobile inside 4 minutes. He landed on the roof of the facility, expecting security guards and locked servers. What he found instead was Commissioner Gordon's elite GCPD strike team. All 12 of them.
I thought he was about to say he found
Gordon
dead.
The loading dock like they'd been hit mid-formation. Mid-radio call, one officer still had his hand on his ear.
I bet that's
There were
like
bullet
that.
wounds. The walls were covered in a dark, resinous material that hadn't been there 6 hours ago when the facility had last reported normal operations. Batman crouched over the nearest body and checked for vitals out of habit. There was nothing to check. Cause of death was already obvious. The man's chest had been punched inward from the outside. He moved inside. The facility's lower floor had been completely restructured. Not by construction, by biology. The walls were layered in the same dark resin, shaped into smooth, curved ridges that funneled the corridor into something that looked less like a building and more like a throat. Batman activated his sonar, scanned the ceiling, and picked up 12 distinct heat signatures moving across the rafters above him. He dropped a smoke pellet and went up. The first contact was over in about
Wait, would xenomorphs even have heat signatures? I mean, they might. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
seconds.
do.
He landed a full Arkham
About
takedown on what he assumed was a mutant, wrapping a wire garrote across its neck and using momentum to slam it into the catwalk railing. The thing barely registered it. It turned on him faster than anything he'd fought before. And when his follow-up batarang hit its forearm, the batarang dissolved. Not deflected, dissolved. The blade hit the creature's skin, and the molecular acid in its bloodstream reacted immediately. The titanium alloy weave in the batarang breaking down in under 2 seconds from a single surface contact. Batman pulled back hard. The physics here are brutal but straightforward. Xenomorph blood is a concentrated molecular acid, pH estimated somewhere below 0. Capable of degrading standard titanium alloys within seconds of contact. Batman's standard Kevlar and titanium weave armor is rated for ballistic resistance and moderate chemical exposure, but it was never designed for direct molecular acid contact. 2 hits to his left gauntlet had already burned through the outer coating down to the underlayer. A 3rd hit there, and he loses the hand. He stopped trying to fight him directly. Instead, he went for the environment. He laid 3 charges of explosive gel across the central catwalks. Boom,
Like he would even have time to do that
boom.
in the fight, in the actual fight.
From the far
Like,
end of the
I
walkway,
mean, maybe he
the
would, but
entire
still,
middle
like, no.
section of the catwalk collapsed, dropping 4 of the creatures into the
These
sub-level
xenomorphs would be on
below
his
and
ass.
blocking the corridor with twisted steel. The remaining 8 scattered back into the ceiling. Batman hit the emergency stairwell and got out. He made it to the roof, breathing hard. Left gauntlet gone, suit integrity at 61% on the left side. He'd walked into an umbrella facility expecting corporate crime and instead hit a fully established hunting ground. The GCPD team never had a chance. They were inside before the biology was even visible. Survival tier on that engagement, C. He got out because he stopped trying to fight on their terms and used the building itself as a weapon. But he'd barely touched the surface of what Umbrella had built down there, and the resin structures went a lot deeper than the ground floor. The deeper he went,
Awaken to a world of wonder.
Final Fantasy
in Final
Online.
Fantasy 14 Online.
the worse the biology got. The hive and the cliffhanger. He went back in 20 minutes later with better information and a worse feeling about what he was going to find. The sublevels of the Gentech BioVault were 3 floors below the loading dock, accessible through a maintenance shaft that the resin hadn't fully sealed yet. Batman dropped in quietly, activated his detective vision, and immediately understood that the scale of what Umbrella had built here was not a containment breach. It was a controlled deployment. The hive structures were too deliberate, too architecturally consistent. Someone had let this grow on purpose. That's when he found the lab records, or what was left of them. A research terminal on sublevel 2 had been partially consumed by resin but still had power. The data was fragmented, but enough survived to tell the story. Umbrella had been running a hybridization program. They called it Project Acheron, combining xenomorph embryo tissue with a modified T-virus strain. The goal was to weaponize xenomorph regenerative biology. The T-virus already causes rapid cellular mutation and necrotic reanimation in standard organic tissue. But xenomorphs have a silicone-based biological framework, which interacts with the T-virus in a way that standard mammalian tissue doesn't. Instead of breaking down, the silicone matrix absorbs the viral mutation and accelerates it. The result was a hybrid organism that didn't just heal from damage. It weaponized the necrotic process. The acid in its bloodstream wasn't passive anymore. It was being actively produced and expelled as a pressurized gas from modified glands.
This thing can get hit, bleed, do damage while it's bleeding, and then heal it back up at this point. It's broken. It's broken.
Along the creature's dorsal ridge, Batman had noticed the air quality dropping. He assumed it was chemical runoff. It wasn't. He pulled up his cowl's air filtration and switched to sealed respirator mode. But the antitoxin filters in his standard kit are rated for airborne nerve agents and industrial chemical exposure. They were not rated for localized acidic gas from a source that was now directly above him. The hybrid dropped from the ceiling vent and hit him full force before his sonar
What
picked
are you
it up.
doing?
The weight alone drove him into the floor. The acidic gas vented directly into his face filter on impact, and the filtration membrane corroded in under 3 seconds. Faster than he could trigger the backup seal, he got one arm up, fired the grapple blind, and caught nothing but resin. The second hit knocked him out cold.
Xenomorphs
Came back
kicking like that?
conscious in the dark, unable to move. The resin had set around his wrists, his shoulders, and both knees, pinning him upright against a curved wall. His utility belt was gone. The bioluminescent glow of the hive was the only light source, and it was enough to show him exactly where he was. The central egg chamber, floor-lined with roughly 30 leathery ovoid structures. The air warm and thick and wrong in a way that went past the chemistry into something older. One of the eggs directly in front of him split open along 4 seams. The facehugger inside uncurled slowly, its legs spreading wide, and then it locked onto his position and launched. But Batman wasn't the only person tracking Umbrella's operations that night. Across the Atlantic,
a crazy
a
switch.
DSO
Wait,
field
what?
agent...
Batman just got face hugged? No way. No way. No way we're about to get a xenomorph adapted Batman. Or whatever, a xenomorph. We're about to get a xenomorph Batman. We're about to see what a xenomorph Batman looks like.
had been following Project Acheron's supply chain for
Here
6
come
weeks,
Leon.
from a black site in
What you
Eastern
gonna do,
Europe
bro? What-
through a shell company
Why
in
are you even
Rotterdam
here?
and straight to a pharmaceutical acquisition in Gotham City. Leon Kennedy had landed at Gotham International 3 hours ago. He was already inside the building. Leon's intervention. Leon Kennedy's introduction to the xenomorph T-virus hybrid problem was a door getting torn off its hinges 2 floors above him and a sound he'd never heard before. Somewhere between a hiss and a pressure release, like a hydraulic seal giving way on something alive. He'd heard lickers, hunters, and a tyrant at close range.
That reminds me, liquors kind of remind me of xenomorphs low-key.
This was different. He adjusted his grip on the silver ghost.
Kinda look
and kept
alike, not
moving
really, but-
down. He'd tracked Project Acheron through 6 weeks of supply manifests, dead drop intercepts, and 2 field contacts who didn't make it to their second meeting. The Umbrella Black Site in Eastern Europe had gone dark 3 months ago, and the biological payload it was housing had moved west. Rotterdam, then a shell company acquisition in Gotham. Leon had the floor schematics loaded on a portable unit and a tactical kit built specifically for T-virus containment scenarios. Incendiary rounds, cryo grenades, a compact shotgun with reinforced ceramic slugs, and enough antiviral agent to treat a moderate outbreak. He didn't plan for a hive. He found the egg chamber because the bioluminescence was visible under the sublevel door. He breached it fast. 1 flash charge on the hinge side, shoulder through, weapon up, and processed the room in about 1 second. 30 eggs. 1 man pinned to the wall, stripped of gear. Cowl intact, but clearly unconscious. 1 egg open directly in front of that man. 1 face hugger already airborne. Leon shot it. A single
Oh, he
round
shot it.
from the
Okay,
Silver
nice.
Ghost, mid-flight, 3 feet from impact. The thing detonated in a small burst of acid spray that hit the floor and immediately started eating into the concrete. Leon was already moving to the wall, pulling a combat knife to cut through the resin at Batman's wrists. The material was dense, but not structural, more adhesive than load-bearing. He got the first wrist free, then the second, then Batman's knees, and lowered him to the floor. Batman was conscious inside 40 seconds. His first move was to check his surroundings.
Watching Leon help Batman
Second
is
was to look
hilarious.
at Leon. "Your DSO," Batman said. Not a question. "You're the one who got stuck to a wall," Leon said. They didn't have time for more than that. The chamber was already responding to the intrusion. A low harmonic vibration moved through the resin walls, the kind of signal the hive uses to coordinate. More were coming. Leon hauled Batman upright, handed him a spare sidearm because the utility belt was gone and they both knew it.
Batman
And
with
they
a
moved
pistol?
for the exit back to back.
Damn.
The next 4 minutes were the most tactically compressed either of them had experienced in a long time. Leon's ceramic shotgun slugs hit with enough force to knock the hybrids off their feet, but every kill meant acid splash, and every acid splash meant retreat. They couldn't hold ground. Every position they took became unusable within 2 seconds of contact because the floor around each kill site started corroding. They moved constantly, back through the sublevel corridor, up the maintenance shaft, out through the loading dock, and into the cold air of the Gotham Harbor Industrial District. Leon leaned against the exterior wall and checked his ammo count. Batman stood in the open, assessing the damage. His suit's left side was already compromised from the earlier engagement. The right side had taken 3 acid contact burns from the retreat. They'd barely gotten out, and the hive was still fully intact behind them. Survival tier on that extraction? B. Leon's firepower and bioweapon experience had pulled Batman out of a situation that was otherwise fatal. But raw firepower alone wasn't
Leon
gonna
did
be
come in
enough
clutch,
for-
though. Leon did come in clutch. And as he's saying right now, raw firepower is not going to be enough.
What came next?
Not.
The Batcave synthesis. They didn't speak on the drive back. Batman had rerouted the Batmobile through the harbor tunnel, and Alfred had the Batcave's forensic bay powered up by the time they arrived. Leon walked in, looked at the cave for...
Let me know down in the comments below, what would Leon say as soon as he got to Batman's Batcave for the first time? What would Leon say? Like, what's something that he might say? You know, like how he's always saying those one-liners and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I'm over here trying to think, but you guys gotta let me know, though.
For 2 seconds and got back to work. Whatever he thought about, he kept to himself. Batman had retrieved one thing on the way out of the facility: the face hugger Leon had shot. He bagged it in a chemical-resistant pouch from Leon's kit, and now it was on the scanner table, partially dissolved from its own acid residue, but intact enough to run a full biological workup. Alfred ran the initial scan while Batman stripped the damaged sections of his suit and Leon laid out his remaining ordnance on the equipment bench. The scanner results came back in 11 minutes. Batman read them twice. The hybridization was more complete than the fragmented lab records had suggested. The T-virus hadn't just altered the xenomorph's cellular behavior. It had restructured the acid production system entirely. Standard xenomorph blood is a passive molecular acid released only on physical trauma to the organism, but the T-virus mutation had activated the dorsal glands into a continuous production cycle. These hybrids are generating acid constantly, which meant every surface they contacted was being slowly degraded. And the pressurized gas expulsion wasn't a defensive reflex. It was a metabolic byproduct. The hive walls weren't just resin anymore. They were soaked through with active acid compound.
Imagine already fighting a huge army of aliens, but at the same time, they have to watch every time they hit one of these things, because one of these things will just bleed out acid and they'll get on them and they'll die. Like the amount of xenomorphs that are probably in the city right now, they probably make a whole ocean of acid. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they're cooked. Like, in reality, they're really, really done. Really done. But you know how nerd science likes to get down.
It matters tactically. Molecular acid works by breaking ionic bonds in whatever material it contacts. The reaction rate is what determines how fast something dissolves. Standard titanium degrades in seconds because its bond structure is disrupted immediately at the contact surface. But if you drop the temperature of the acid below its reaction threshold, somewhere around -40 degrees Celsius, the ionic disruption process stalls completely. The molecules are still there, the acid is still there, it just can't move fast enough to do anything. Freeze molecular acid and you don't neutralize it permanently, but you stop it cold enough to buy time, which in a combat scenario is the only thing that matters. The T-virus component has a similar vulnerability. The virus operates through rapid enzymatic replication inside host tissue. Drop the environmental temperature low enough and the enzymatic process goes dormant. It's the same reason biological samples are stored in cryogenic conditions. Cold doesn't kill the virus, but it stops it from functioning. Batman had freeze blast technology already in the Arkham arsenal. The modification he needed wasn't a rebuild, it was a recalibration. increasing the cryogel output pressure and widening the dispersal radius to cover a larger target surface in a single deployment. He also had Alfred synthesize a base alkaline polymer coating for a new suit variant, something that would neutralize acid on contact at the surface layer before it reached the underlayer.
Ooh.
It wasn't a permanent solution. The polymer would degrade after sustained acid exposure, maybe 20 minutes of heavy contact before it broke down. But 20 minutes was enough.
Yeah, that's
Leon took the
a lot
cryo
of time.
rounds and the incendiary grenades
Cryo
without
rounds.
comment. He'd worked with improvised loadouts before, and Wayne Tech cryo rounds were substantially better than improvised.
Yo, Leon would have the time of his life playing with Batman gadgets. Like
Oracle's voice came through the comm, and the mood in the cave shifted entirely. The hive had expanded. In the 3 hours since Batman and Leon had evacuated the facility, the resin structures had pushed into the Gotham subway system through the maintenance corridors under the Harbor District. 2 transit workers were confirmed dead, and Nightwing, who'd gone in to assess the spread without waiting for backup, was in Gotham General with severe acid burns across his left arm and shoulder and 2 broken ribs. He was alive, but the hive was moving fast, and it wasn't stopping. They had 1 shot at this before someone above them made a decision to glass the city entirely. So they loaded up and went back.
People come to us and
Who's trying to glass the
so
city?
bad that they all need to be
I love that
Yeah.
I love that glass, like when people say glass for, you know, just completely demolishing anything, like just completely glass the city. Like I think that's so funny.
The Queen Showdown. The subway tunnels under Gotham Harbor were already unrecognizable. What had been a functioning transit corridor 6 hours ago was now a fully integrated hive extension, resin over every surface, the acid-soaked walls glowing faintly in the dark, the air temperature rising the deeper they pushed. Batman's new suit was already registering alkaline polymer degradation at the shoulder. The polymer was working, but it was working by sacrificing itself, and the clock was running. The first wave hit him at the platform entrance. Licker xenomorph hybrids. The T-virus had done something specific to this variant, elongating the dorsal structure and replacing the standard cranial plate with a membrane thin enough to expel acidic gas directly forward like a directed spray. Leon had clocked one of these on the way into the facility the first time. He knew exactly how they moved. He drew their attention with a flash grenade, got them facing him, and Batman came in from the flank with the recalibrated freeze blast at full dispersal. The cryogel hit the lead hybrid mid-lunge, and it locked solid in under a second. Flash frozen from the dorsal glands down through the leg structure. Leon put a magnum round through the center mass, and it shattered. No acid splash, no gas, just fragments. They worked through 6 more the same way. It wasn't clean, but it was repeatable. The central chamber was at the end of the platform, behind a collapsed section of tunnel wall that the hive had restructured into something closer to an archway. The bioluminescence was intense here, and the heat was 10 degrees above ambient. And they both stopped at the entrance because what was inside the chamber made everything else in the facility look like a warm-up. The Queen was massive. The T-virus had pushed her growth cycle far past standard xenomorph biology. She was close to 20 feet, attached to a resin structure at the far end of the chamber by a fused dorsal section that ran the length of her spine. But she wasn't immobile. The fused connection was load-bearing, not restraining. She moved with it. The mutation had also changed her head structure. The elongated skull now partially translucent, and along her jawline there were visible glands. The same acidic biomatter production system as the hybrids, scaled up by an order of magnitude. She could spit it. She did, immediately. The moment they entered, Leon went right, Batman went left. The acid column hit the archway entrance and dissolved a 3-foot section of concrete in about 4 seconds. Leon pulled the rocket launcher from the back mount.
That's an insta kill. We already know that. We all know that. We all know that. That's an insta kill. When Leon pulls out the rocket launcher, it should be an insta kill. So she should be gone by now.
First round directly into her lower torso. The blast knocked her sideways, cracked 2 sections of the dorsal connection, and she screamed. A sound that the tunnel amplified into something physically painful. She locked onto Leon and started moving toward him, dragging the damaged connection behind her. And Leon stood his ground and put a second round into her face. He took the counterattack full force. The tail sweep caught him across the chest and drove him into the tunnel wall with enough force to shatter 2 ribs audibly. He went down and stayed down, but she was facing away from Batman. He was already at the tunnel ceiling, grapple line holding him directly above the coolant reserve access point. A Wayne Metro emergency system installed after a 2009 tunnel fire, designed to flood the subway infrastructure with cryogenic coolant to suppress structural combustion. He'd identified it on the schematics.
Why is it every time we always, like, everybody has to be beaten with frost? Like, everybody has to be beaten with ice, just be frozen and stuff like that. Why is it always ice? It's always ice, always.
2 hours ago in the Batcave, he pulled the manual override, and 4,000 gallons of cryogenic coolant dropped from the ceiling of the central chamber in a single pressurized release. The Queen flash froze in 11 seconds. The chamber went completely silent. Batman dropped to the floor, crossed to Leon, and checked him. Conscious, breathing, 2 broken ribs, fully alert, and already trying to get up. Batman let him. The Hive was dead. The hybrids throughout the tunnel network had gone still the moment the Queen's signal stopped. The subway was a frozen tomb. Survival tier? A. They won, but Nightwing was in a hospital bed, 12 GCPD officers were gone, and the hive mind that coordinated the whole thing was Umbrella's design. Umbrella's research data had already transmitted off-site before Batman ever entered the building. They killed the outbreak, but the program survived. If you want to see where Umbrella deploys the next one, drop a comment below with your city pick. Like and subscribe so you don't miss it.
Nice special. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of the 100K Nerd Science special. Leon and Batman going up against a xenomorph outbreak. I expected them to survive, but again, like, the way I see it is, once the xenomorphs start breeding and people are getting face hugged every second, and there's xenomorph after xenomorph after xenomorph being born. Eventually you can't stop it. Only thing left to do would be to drop like a nuke, you know, probably on the whole entire hive, because again, like, I don't think Batman and Leon are really surviving this. And you guys could, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but they deal with extinction level events quite often, right? I guess I'm gonna check the battle simulator. If I can get Leon on the battle simulator, then we're gonna run our own simulation. I don't remember seeing Leon on the battle simulator, and I don't want to use like another character who's like him. I want to use Leon and Batman, you know, in the battle simulator to run it. Again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Leon and Batman cooked the hive and saved the world. So this was definitely a treat, though. Hopefully we get more collabby things like this, because I love these.